guys, I hope you're all doing well and that you had a great week. To all of my house guests, come in, make yourselves at home, make yourselves comfortable. If you're visiting my channel for the first time and you'd like to become a house guest, don't forget to hit subscribe and activate all of your notifications. I'm Chez, this is Chez M0i, welcome to my place.
House rules. Please do not watch this video if you have absolutely no interest in the subject matter as indicated by the thumbnail, you struggle to simply accept other people's opinions when they don't necessarily align with yours, you're a professional point misser, you are not able to engage respectfully. Remember that there are countless other channels that cater specifically to your needs and preferences. Therefore, please feel free to exit this video and engage with their content instead.
So guys, welcome to episode 10 of Coffee Chats, a series of alternative perspectives. Now, before I get into this episode, I wish to apologize for this video taking so long to come out, this next episode. It's been a while since the previous episode. I do apologize, my schedule has been more hectic than usual. I can't do anything about that. So this is the first opportunity I've had to put out an episode. Also, this is not my normal upload day. I decided to push it back to Tuesday the 10th of October for reasons which will become apparent as we get into the video. Before we do that, however, I want us to cast our mind back to episode 9, where we talked about the importance of maintaining your self-respect. And some of you had some interesting comments to make, 2 of which I've selected, and here they are.
This comment is from Lorna Fuller 8705, and she says, "Thank you, Chez M0i, for shedding light and addressing an issue which I think is major in our community. I am 68 years old and I do work with much younger women. I am speechless and in shock at some of the arguments I overhear between them and their partners. There definitely is a lack of self-esteem and self-worth in how some of them express and conduct themselves. I strongly believe it is because more emphasis and focus are being placed on how they look, what they wear, and not on substantive values such as self-worth and self-motivation. I also strongly believe that some are a product of their environment. The sad part is children are being raised by some women who find themselves in these abusive situations. Children become adults and the cycle continues because they live what they learn. Thank you again, very insightful." This comment comes from Carlotta Walker 6185, and she says, "I don't understand why some women feel that they must always be in a relationship. I have been alone for the last 20 years and I don't regret 1 minute of it. I have 4 grandchildren, including 1 beautiful granddaughter, 2.5, whom I dote on. My life is fulfilled. I answer to no one but the Almighty."
I want to thank each and every one of you for your contributions. As usual, I find them really insightful and they are valuable. As we get into this video, I want you to know that I'm drinking tea today out of my mug. Let me know what you're drinking as we settle down and get into this episode.
I wanted to do this video as a coffee chat episode for World Mental Health Day on Tuesday the 10th of October. I find that although the coffee chats don't get as many views as my other videos, these are the videos where we have a more intimate discussion, which allows us as a little community to open up a bit more and share our experiences and insights. So for World Mental Health Day, here are what Harry and Meghan will be doing. This article is from people.com on 6th of October 2023. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry heading to NYC to host summit on World Mental Health Day. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex will host their first in-person Archewell Foundation event on World Mental Health Day. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex will be in NYC on Tuesday, October 10th for their Archewell Foundation's first in-person event, providing a platform for parents navigating mental health challenges in today's digital age. The Archewell Foundation will host the Archewell Foundation Parent Summit Mental Wellness in a Digital Age to give voice to families who are passionate about building a safer online world for children and teens, People exclusively reveals. The conversation will explore how we as a community, both globally and locally, are creating positive change and supporting one another in developing solutions to empower families and uplift our collective mental well-being. The summit will feature parents who have experienced tragic loss connected to their child's social media use. Meghan and Harry have been working with the parents involved in next week's event behind the scenes, People has learned. The families have been engaged with the Archewell Foundation for the past year, bolstering community and driving towards solutions, a spokesperson for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex tells People. Together, they are united in their mission to share personal experiences, data, and research to ensure the same does not happen to other families. Now, for me, mental health is a very generic term. However, as you guys know, I'm not professionally qualified in this field whatsoever, but for the purposes of this video, I prefer to use the term mental misalignment as opposed to mental illness, because for me, the term mental illness sometimes implies that what you're experiencing may require intensive treatment or hospitalization. I'm just going to focus on two aspects today because these are things that I've gone through, and it's anxiety and depression. So anxiety and depression are conditions that I experienced throughout my 20s. The best way I can describe my perception of these two states was that it felt like a thick, dark grey cloud hovering above my head constantly, regardless of what setting I was in. And the physical manifestation was a sinking, churning sensation in my lower abdomen rising up through my torso, accompanied by a perpetual low mood. I was insecure about why I never seemed to fit in. I was always on edge and I was always irritable, just snappy all the time. I remember when I was about 26, 27, I started to question why I was feeling like this and came to the realization that I was living a fear-based life, always concerned with how I was perceived by others. Now, as someone who likes to prepare for all eventualities weeks or months in advance, I was self-occupied in that I put myself at the center of everything, believing that I had to have control over all aspects of my life in order to have the life that I wanted. This need to have control over every aspect of my life was debilitating and extremely exhausting. It got to the stage where I had to have a serious word with myself. I said to myself, how I'm living isn't working for me. So if I let go of trying to plan and control my life, what is the worst that can happen? In that realization, you understand that allowing yourself to relinquish control over things you've always had control over is easier said than done. But when you realize that the thing you've always done no longer serves you, you have nothing left to lose by doing things differently. As soon as I let go, it was like a weight was lifted off my shoulders and everything started to flow in the right direction. it became apparent very quickly that things were working out much better than I could ever have planned them. Success is no barrier to mental misalignment. Some of you who are old enough may remember when Harry was born. From my recollection, the mood of the nation, in hindsight reflected by Charles, in my opinion, didn't appear to be quite as jubilant as it was when William was born. And maybe, as we've learnt from Harry later on, it's because Charles wanted a daughter as opposed to a second son. Since his mum's death, which occurred a fortnight before his 13th birthday, Harry, in his adolescence, started to display reckless behaviour. And for most of us, it was a constant diet of salacious newspaper headlines. I have to hold my hands up here and say that I was guilty of not understanding why he was acting out, because I equated a life of privilege with a life free from fear and uncertainty. This article is from yahoo.com, published on the 11th of October 2018. Anxiety and wealth. The fact that they're anxious means that their lives aren't perfect. Think money can buy you comfort and happiness? Think again. Affluent individuals, including children and teenagers in high-income families, suffer severe anxiety. Some researchers have even argued that these affluent individuals are particularly susceptible to the condition. Many people will wonder why we should pay attention to people with financial security and who seemingly have it all. Although challenges to those in poverty are enormous, there is danger in assuming difficulties are not present on the other end of the socio-economic spectrum. In 2017, Rachel Sherman, PhD, Associate Professor of Sociology at the New School, published the book Uneasy Street: The Anxieties of Affluence. I think that sometimes we imagine that wealthy people are happier, and while I think that they are happier than people who are genuinely concerned about where their next meal is coming from, they certainly do worry a lot, Sherman said. I started to notice as Harry got older, even up to the eve of his wedding day, many times when he came out in public, he always had his right hand inside his blazer or his jacket. At first I thought this was a Freemason gesture. Oh, you know, when you just read stuff and you just come to crazy conclusions, but I actually did think it was a Freemason gesture. Then I recognised that this was a sign of his insecurity in public spaces. This is a definition from the NHS. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the NHS, it's our National Health Service here in the UK. Social anxiety disorder, also called social phobia, is a long-term and overwhelming fear of social situations. It's a common problem that usually starts during the teenage years. It can be very distressing and have a big impact on your life. So I'm just going to read a couple of excerpts from this article from uk.finance.yahoo.com, published on the 8th of May 2018. And this is shortly before Harry and Meghan's wedding. And it's headed "The Hidden Meaning Behind Prince Harry's Weird Hand Gesture." Firstly, it's like a habit. He's seen this way quite a bit. He's covering his solar plexus area, the vital organs, and protecting it, which just says he's not quite comfortable in the situation. Who would be, with all those photographers around and people like myself analysing him? According to Blanca Cobb, body language expert and author of Method of the Masters, this gesture is Harry's way of putting his guard up when he's in public situations, aka an engagement photo shoot with hundreds of photographers. Prince Harry's arm placed across his abdomen serves as a barrier to separate or distance himself from something that makes him uncomfortable. In this case, it could be having photos taken. It may also be a way to show others that he's protecting not only himself, but his loved ones nearby. We're talking about Ms. Markle, of course. If you see Harry now, I'm sure a lot of you would agree that he is more at ease around people. At least he appears to be. He's more confident and he can deliver a speech fluently. And this is one of the reasons why I'm glad he wrote his memoir Spare, because it clarified why he behaved how he behaved, and that he was willing to seek help, because unfortunately some people are not willing to seek help, and that being in a loving, supportive relationship has given him the confidence he needed to make some life-changing decisions. We are losing us. Here is a short clip from a podcast I came across earlier this week.
When people are talking about love, if you don't love yourself and love your insecurities, you can't love somebody else.
Yeah.
And man, them will be real. Man, them need to do a lot of healing. There's a lot of healing that we need to do to find our wives, to find our love of our lives. Just to love the man them.
Yeah. And
Just
yourself.
I love yourself, fam. There's a lot of healing we need to do, but certain people ain't ready to do that, fam. It's too, and I hear it because it's too intense at times, fam.
Yeah.
It's too intense.
Because like with a lot of us, we're not used to feeling certain emotions, isn't it? So as soon as something feels a certain way, like, let me run away from this. I don't like this.
Facts.
So when you're not used to it, but eventually you just gotta get used to it.
But that's why when it does catch up on you, men commit fam. Bro.
I concur with everything that's been heard in this podcast clip just now. It's really concerning. We are losing us. As a community, we are losing us. And it's constant. All of these issues, which are so complex, which I am not qualified to talk about, not on this platform. Deep-rooted issues such as childhood trauma, rejection, neglect, abandonment, not being loved, not being shown love, no emotional support. It's endemic within our community, and for some reason we just don't talk about it. Yeah, I'm gonna you can cancel me if you want. But men, why do you have this thing where your pride, you don't want to be vulnerable? What? I mean, I have people in my life and used to be in my life that are like this. It's like, we've got to put on a brave face, and not understanding that you being vulnerable will actually attract people into your life that will be so beneficial to you. This armor that you have, this arrogant attitude where I'm not supposed to show any emotion in front of people because they're going to look at me as if I'm weak. It repels people. People don't want to be near you because you give this impression that you can handle everything when inside you're struggling. And I just wish we would open up more. So, engage with podcasts like this. This is Stay Strong Men. I think they're on YouTube. But I actually found this on a different platform. And what made me listen to it is because one of the guys I recognize, I've known him from when he was really small. So to see him do this, to see him with his friends talking about this, it really, really is encouraging to me. So check them out, or check out similar podcasts. We need to talk about it because we are losing us. It's good to talk. During the times when my anxiety developed into depression, medication did not help me at all. But that's not to say that medication cannot help you. It's just not a one-size-fits-all approach. So don't discard medication. It just didn't work for me. But talking really, really did. If you're a man watching this video and you're going through a season of mental misalignment, please hear me and try not to get defensive, okay? But it may be time to put your pride and ego to one side and really consider talking to someone. Not just banter when you're sitting in the barber's chair or you're down the pub with your mates, but be proactive in your own healing by making yourself vulnerable and speaking to someone who you can trust enough to open up to, or a mental health professional who can listen to you objectively. You may be surprised how things start to change for the better over the next few months. How I manage feelings of anxiety. Now, I rarely experience anxious feelings anymore because I've been very intentional about what I will allow into my mind and who I have to exclude from my space, because ultimately I have to have peace above everything else. As I've said, I have no formal qualifications in this area of mental health. I'm not a counsellor, neither am I a psychotherapist. What I am, however, is someone who has been in some very, very dark places mentally and have come out on the other side. So what I'm about to share with you now are ways I successfully manage anxiety, and some of these suggestions may help some of you. Number 1, don't look at your phone as soon as you wake up. The first thing you should not do when you wake up is grab hold of your phone and start scrolling on social media. That's the worst thing you could do. I promise you, that's the worst thing that you could do. You need to get yourself in the correct frame of mind to set yourself up for the day. And one way to do that, as soon as you wake up, is to express gratitude. It's so powerful. On waking up, express gratitude. I start to say what I'm grateful for. Expressing gratitude puts you in a positive frame of mind for the rest of the day. And one thing I'm always grateful for is that I have the opportunity to open my eyes to see a brand new day, because unfortunately, there are millions of people who will not experience the same. Number 2, don't read any emails or texts until you've done some form of exercise and had something to eat. You never know when you're going to come across a negative message or text or email. So that's why it's important for you not to engage in any type of that activity before you actually set yourself up for the day through exercise and when you had something to eat. Seeing one negative message will obliterate the rest of your day. No exaggeration. And if you've gone through that, you know what I'm talking about. We'll get on to exercise or movement in a moment, but with regard to eating, if you're not someone who has breakfast or enjoys breakfast, why not just have a glass of water or a herbal tea just to kickstart your metabolism and just take a few minutes for yourself before you get your day started. Number 3, daily movement. Now, daily movement could constitute you getting up early, going to the gym. If you're not that way inclined, you could go for a run in your local area. If you're not even that way inclined, a walk in the park, in the greenery works wonders. And I have another video which I did ages ago called The Benefits of Walking. I'll link it above or in the description box below. If you're someone who's not used to movement, one thing that really helps is stretching. You can get stretching routines online, kind of like yoga stretches. Not only will it calm your mind, but it will also help to strengthen your body. And I can guarantee you will feel really good after doing those stretches. I mean, I do a stretch routine before I do any form of exercise because it helps to make me more flexible, and it puts me in a calmer state. But these things, as simple as they are, they do have a massive benefit, not only to your body, but to your mental state as well. Number 4. Now, earlier I talked about self-occupation. So what I'd suggest is that you find ways to help other people. Now, that could be in the form of volunteering for a local charity, visiting people in hospital, offering to help out a neighbour who's incapacitated. You might want to offer to do their shopping or take their dog for a walk. The point is to take the focus off yourself and redirect your attention to others. If you take the focus off yourself and turn it to someone else who may be in a worse situation than you, you will be surprised at how fulfilling that could be, not just for the other person, but for you as well. Number 5, speak to someone who you trust completely. One person who I speak to about so many things is my mum. I've gone to her in my youth with problems, and she's always managed to say the right thing. And what she said has changed the trajectory of my life, in work, in my personal life, just things in general. She never criticizes or judges me. She's never done that. She will listen. She's a very good listener. And if she doesn't agree with something, she'll say it in such a way. She'll say it so gently but firmly, and I will receive it from her. There are some people that, for some reason, they can say something, but the delivery will not allow you to hear what they've said. And I always say, it's not what you say to me, it's the way that you say it. And that will determine whether I actually receive what you're saying to me. My mum is very, very good at that, and I thank her for that. And that's why I'm very confident in speaking to her about things that are going on in my life. I also talk to God about everything and anything in my private times. At this point, some of you may be rolling your eyes and, what have you, which is fine. But we all believe in something. The chair that you're sitting on, you didn't question whether that chair was going to hold your weight. You just had good faith that it was going to support you and you weren't going to tumble over. We all have a faith in something, and that's who I put my faith in. Because believe me when I tell you, even now, when I experience some dark periods in my life, those circumstances are superseded by the overwhelming sense of peace that I experience constantly, because I have the assurance that what I'm going through is only temporary and I don't have to worry about anything, because I will be all right. In any case, find that person who you trust completely to keep your conversations private, to whom you can be accountable, and they will be honest with you, even at the risk of grazing your feelings. So guys, these are just a few of the methods that I've adopted and implemented to keep on top of this anxiety. As I said, I don't experience it to the level or the degree that I used to before. And it's only because of consistency. I have to remain consistent, because if I drop the ball, I will go back to where I was before. And these things are small, but they are very, very, very effective, very powerful, and they're free. The only thing that it costs you is your time. I would rather do all of these things than engage in frivolous activities. The time that you've spent, I don't know, scrolling for an hour on your Instagram, or engaging in some meaningless gossip, I suppose, over the phone. You could have done all of this and improved your quality of life. So I really encourage you to, use some of these suggestions, or if you're doing something else, continue to do that. Whatever helps you, whatever helps your mental state, I'd really encourage you to do that. And as I say, anything that you're doing, please comment below, because I know that we could all benefit from the insights that we share on this channel.
So guys, as I wrap up this video, I want to take the opportunity to thank you for joining me on this episode. It was quite a deep one, but I think given what the day is, it was only right that I do this type of video as a coffee chat and not as a normal video. I like to hear from you when you give your insights. It's as I said, it's a more intimate type of setting for us on this channel, and it's important for me to understand where you guys are coming from as well. I've shared a bit of my story with you, and hopefully you'll do the same with me, and in doing so you could be helping someone else. If your thoughts were provoked in any way at all, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet become a house guest, don't forget to hit subscribe and activate all of your notifications. Thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we shall catch up in the next episode of Coffee Chats.